Punctuation is an important aspect of the process of learning and using correct language. What is punctuation? Why do we need to learn about the proper use of punctuation? And how do we actually make use of the most important punctuation marks in English language? These are some of the questions that we will respond to in this presentation. So first, what is punctuation? As I said in the beginning, punctuation is the process of arranging, structuring words in texts in order to make the texts clearer and meaningful. This process generally involves the use of signs and spacing in texts. Now, here are two examples of texts. One is text without punctuation and the other one is text with punctuation. So what you can do is read both of these and then try to make sense which text actually makes better sense, or which text gives us clearer meanings. The first one without punctuation or the second one with punctuation. So I'll leave that question to you to answer. Now, some of the most common punctuation marks in English include full stop or period, and so you can see that dot is the symbol of it. This marks the end of a sentence. For example, he is my friend, and then followed by this full stop or period, or you can say dot. And this is the other common use of full stop or period is its use in abbreviations, such as the abbreviations here B.Ed and M.Ed. Then question mark is another punctuation mark that generally comes towards the end of a sentence. And so this is used in interrogative sentences or in questions. Is he your friend? Followed by a question mark. Did you complete your homework? Followed by a question mark. Exclamation mark is the last type of punctuation mark that generally comes towards the end of a sentence. And exclamation marks are added at the end of sentences that actually express strong feelings or emotions. For example, emotions of happiness, anger, sadness, etc. or unbelievable sight. So this is followed by the punctuation mark of exclamation mark. And get out of here. This is something that shows displeasure, strong anger or displeasure, and it is followed by the exclamation mark. Comma is another very common punctuation mark, and this is generally used to break a sentence into different ideas or thoughts expressed in words. These words could be nouns, verbs, adjectives, or commas also separate phrases or clauses in a sentence. So here are examples of each of these. In the first one, Ali, comma, Kamran, comma, and Salman are my friends. In some cases, the comma after the last noun before and is excluded, but generally it is a better practice to include this comma. Then the second one, in terms of separating verbs, he came, comma, stood, comma, grumbled, comma, and went away. Again, you can see that verbs have been separated through commas. In the third one, adjectives have been separated. My friend was tall, comma, dark, comma, lean, comma, and handsome. The teacher came in, wrote something on the board, moved on, and went away. Use of comma to separate phrases in this sentence. And in the last one, we have used commas that separate complete thoughts or clauses inside a sentence. Now, the use of semicolon, the other very important generally commonly used punctuation mark is semicolon. Semicolon marks a pause that is longer than the one represented by a comma. Generally, it is used to separate two independent clauses in a sentence instead of using a conjunctions. So, in some cases, you just want to avoid the use of conjunctions, and in that case, to separate two independent clauses, you can make use of semicolon. So, Ali is my favorite teacher, a clause, then followed by a semicolon, he is dutiful. This semicolon could also be used instead of commas to separate list of items when the items contain commas themselves. So here is an example. Yesterday I met my friends, comma, Ali, who is a teacher. So the list of item contains Ali, Kamran, Jamal, and Farid. But each of these items, that is the names Ali, etc., they are then followed by some detail, and that is why these different items in the list have then been separated by the semicolon. So to read it, yesterday I met my friends Ali, comma, who is a teacher, semicolon, Kamran, comma, who is a doctor, semicolon, Jamal, comma, who is a player, then semicolon, and Farid, who is a writer after a long time. So here you can see we have made use both of commas and semicolon, and you can see what actually the use of semicolon here means is that here there is a list of items, and the items then contain commas themselves. So for that we have made use of the semicolons. The colon symbolized by these two perpendicular dots, this has several uses. It can precede a list, such as in this one, a good writer should have several qualities. Now we have put the colon, and after this there is a list. Critical thinking, creativity, comma, strong imagination, and language command. So there is a list of those qualities, and so this list is preceded by the semicolon. Then in the other important use is to give example. For example, you can improve your writing in two ways. So we are elaborating on this. So we put a colon, and then read a lot and practice writing. And also we generally use colon to elaborate on something or to emphasize. For example, he has one big talent, and then we put a colon, and this colon actually means that we are emphasizing or elaborating persistence. So that's the use of colon. The use of apostrophe, you can see that symbol in front of it. This is used to show possession. For example, Ali's house is big. Here, Ali followed by apostrophe and S and the sentence actually shows the possession. That actually means that the house belongs to Ali. Salman's book. Here it shows that the book belongs to Salman. Then it is also used for contractions. So he is going. He is going is full. So we have used it to contract or to reduce the number of words in the sentence. So it is used for contractions as well. And similarly, the next example is also that of contraction. Quotation marks, as you can see, in front of it, inverted commas or quotation marks used in citing direct quotes or reported speech from someone. So when we report what someone says in their own words, we make use of quotation marks. So Ali said, comma, and then this quotation mark begins, I'm teaching mathematics. these are the words of Ali. So then it is followed by a full stop and a quotation marks close. So the last one shows the closing of the quotation marks. The first one shows the beginning of the quotation marks. Hyphens, as you can see that symbol over there, a short dash type of symbol, generally used in compound words. For example, self-evident. So two words combined together through hyphen, or up to date, three words used combined together, 20 minutes. So in all of these we have combined the words into compound words through the use of hyphens. The next important one is the dash, the use of the word of the symbol dash. So dash has two types, the shorter dash, or called the end dash, and the longer dash, the M dash. The shorter dash or end dash is generally used for connecting two things, as well as a range of numbers, years, pages, etc. So the two things, the Lahore, Islamabad, are combined, connected together through this short dash. Motorway is a new road. Also shows range of numbers, such as range of pages in a book. For example, read pages 85 to 295. This actually means 85, 86, 87, and so on till we reach 95. So this dash will actually means that if someone asks you to read these pages from 85 to 95, this means all of these pages. The longer M dash may be used to replace a colon or parenthesis, or to put emphasis on the ending of a sentence. So there are two uses of it, or rather three. One, to replace a colon. In some cases we don't want to use a colon or a parenthesis. In that case we use the M dash, or in some cases we want to put emphasis on the ending of the sentence. So in that case as well we make use of the M dash. So here are examples. Ali mentioned important world capitals. Now after this we want to emphasize, or we want to actually elaborate on that. So we put a long or M dash or longer dash, Washington, comma, Beijing, London, and Paris. So these are the uses of the symbol dash. We are moving towards the end of the presentation. Now the parentheses, as you can see in front of it, the parentheses, or you can say the kind of round brackets, used to give additional information for clarification or context. So Ali, so basically the sentence is, Ali came up with an amazing idea for the lunch party. Now the reader might be interested to know who Ali is. So one way, in order to elaborate on or to give more information about Ali, we put the parenthesis there, and we include who had good experience of cooking. Here we have given additional information to the reader about who Ali is. So we make use of it here. He didn't want to appear in the test. And so we want to give some reason for it. So we put a parenthesis. He was not ready. And the last one, where we want to give some context. He was your friend, and then wasn't he? So these are the uses of parentheses. There are other uses as well. Remember that in this presentation, I'm giving you the very common uses of these punctuation marks. There are certainly other uses, extended uses of these marks as well in some cases. The brackets. These are generally used in academic writing to add material for clarifications of quoted material. make corrections or identify mistakes in quoted material. So in other words, brackets are generally used where we quote material from other sources in our writing, especially in academic writing. For example, after being away from home for a significant period, my friend came back. So significant period, the reader might be thinking, what is significant period, or what does the writer mean by significant period? So in that case, I have put the bracket including 5 years in order to give clarifications about what I actually mean by significant period. Similarly, if there are some mistakes, grammatical language mistakes in the original text, in that case, we could put this bracket over there followed by SIC in order to identify that possible mistake. Ali said, comma, inverted commas. Now this is a quotation from someone. I will always helps. Because helps does not come here, should not come here. It should be help. So we have put this SIC in the bracket in order to indicate that error. The ellipses or these 3 dots that you can see in front of it are generally used to reduce the length of direct quotes inside a text. So sometimes you want to give some part of the direct quotes from text but not the whole text. In that case, we need to use ellipses. This is done to report the most relevant part of a text or to create suspense or pause. So for the first one, like quote, you can just see this quote. Ali thought that his friend Samir, who was a security officer, was in danger. Now this is direct quote. Now I want to use this quote in my writing, especially in academic writing, but I do not need the whole quote to be used in my writing. So in that case, I will make use of ellipses to reduce this quote. So here is the example. Ali thought that his friend, followed by these 3 dots, which is ellipses, was in danger. In some cases, if you are quoting from somewhere where the end of the sentence comes, in that case you might also use a 4th dot here. And also the ellipsis is used to create suspense or pause. For example, Ali discovered that his friend, suspense or pause, Samir, then suspense or pause, was actually not a friend. The last one, the slash, indicates an alternative or. So in some cases we can use it instead of writing or, we use this symbol slash. Abbreviations or dates and fractions. So every student should bring his / her book. So we or his or her, or instead of using or, we have used this slash. C/O, care of, abbreviation. Fraction, sometimes we use it to represent fractions such as half or 1/2, and days. So you can see the use of slash in date here. So these are the very common punctuation marks and the general use of punctuation marks in English, and you can think of it as a summary, and if you want to explore these further, you can actually you may need to read further in grammar books in more detail.